Hey, Funkin' fans, please don't forget, you can always go to patreon.com/nice guys. Please make a donation for the show. We want to keep the lights on.
I have nothing to add. You did it so well, Strickland. Let's just get on with the show.
No, but you need to add something, Doug. Come on. Contribute, please.
Patreon.com/nice guys. That's the spot. Please, we are 100% funded by you all. And so far, we're 100% funded by you all. Let's just keep going.
As little as $2 a month. That's all we need. Thank you.
Here's what you can look forward to on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
Most research will tell you that the events of your life have very, very little to do with your state of happiness. So the truth is, happiness is a choice. It's not the events of your life that make you happy or unhappy. It's the way you think about them.
Do you have an iPhone or do you have something inferior?
I have an iPhone that has all my music. My superior Android phone is a little bit further away.
I just got the MacBook Pro with those stupid ports on the side. I have no idea why Apple did that with the ports.
Good. Let's keep it at that. Let's close the podcast with you complaining about Apple. Not a very bad history. How do you get the brand of Nice Guys? That's an amazing brand. In any case, never underestimate the power of nice. All right, Doug and Strickland, let's do this.
Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, Nice Guy community, welcome back, welcome back. It is Monday, and we have got a ridiculously good interview today.
This is episode 362. How crazy is that?
You know, before we get out of hand, my name's Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler. I don't want to forget.
I am so happy.
Yeah, about what? Oh, just the interview today?
Yeah, I'm so happy because
Mo Gawdat is solving for happy.
Yeah. Well, Solve for Happy is his book, and this guy, this is like the Google guru. Boy, that's not easy to say. He is the Google guru. He worked at Google X, a high
level.
He
runs Google X, right?
Yeah. He runs Google X, or he ran Google X until he took a little leave of absence to promote this book, Solve for Happy, and. When you hear his story, Strick, I know you do. Sometimes you listen to the episode as you're actually editing it, and sometimes you don't. I think you keyed in on listening to this one, didn't you?
I have already edited and listened to this one. I know it's unusual. It's so good. I mean, this is like, I was like almost in tears over some of his story. I mean, it's really, really good. It's really touching. The quickest version, like the most boiled down version of this, which I love, the Solve for Happiness. First of all, he says, I think I put this in the intro quote, actually. It's that, first of all, your circumstances do not determine your happiness. In other words, if your life is total shit, it has nothing to do with how happy you are. That there are lots of people that great things happen to and they do great and they're still not happy. But the basic, most boiled down formula for happiness is it is the difference between your expectations and your reality. Right? And so, okay, so what's the answer to that? Well, maybe you need to change your expectations.
I think
right?
I think just as important, Mo has a direct line of communication with Sergey and Larry, and Sergey and Larry are the founders of Google, and he's going to try to get them on our show. How cool would that be? That would make me super happy.
But when you say that, it sounds like you were interviewing him just to get to them, and I totally
no
don't
way.
agree with that. I mean, this is one of my favorite interviews. I'm telling you, and you've done a lot of them.
I've done a lot of interviews, and actually, I liked Mo for Mo's sake. Mo was a good guy. When I first was introduced to Mo through his publicist, I was thinking, and I watched a couple of his videos, and I thought, this is kind of cool, but this is just this is somebody else. Again, this is pre-talking to Mo, somebody else that has the formula for what it takes in order to be happy. It's not about money. It's not about how it's about how you actually can mold your thoughts and think differently in order to make yourself happy. It was more of like an esoteric, me and I talk about all this all the time, the woo-woo stuff. It was not woo-woo. There's actually, he comes at this from an engineer's perspective and really boils it down, breaks it down into some simple science that he put together this book, Solve for Happy. And you're going to love this episode with Mo.
Yeah, it's so good. His book is called Solve for Happy, and his website is solveforhappy.com. Have we done the promise statement yet?
No. Can I give the new, revised, and updated promise statement?
You realize that, first of all, that's exposition. Okay, so we're not going to do that anymore. But second of all, you asking permission to do the new version takes about 5 times as long as it does for the time that we save with the single word that you took out of.
Strickland, you're not making me happy. This is definitely not the resolution. I'm not solving for happy here. You're putting me down a downward spiral to misery. I know, but it's all about my expectations. So here it is. The promise statement is to provide an experience that is entertaining and adds value to your life. If you feel we are doing that, we would love to hear from you. If you feel we need to do differently, we would love to hear from you still. At DJ Doug is my handle. At Nice Guy on Biz with a Z is Strickland's. Please let us know what we can do. Hey, Strick, can I just add one other thing before we get to the interview with Mo?
Of course.
And you're not going to love this, but I need to share it with you anyway because I think it's a part of what's been going on. I think we have been negligent in sharing with the Nice Guy community, not only how satisfied that we are, but how we haven't really gotten into how they can help us more. If you're listening on Overcast right now, you may have noticed that we have dropped to number 4. Okay. So,
what?
Right? See, Strickland, and it's
who's ahead of us? Is that other guy? Is it the other guy?
No,
C-Suite Network?
Jeff is not ahead of us. It's It's like an NPR show, Tim Ferriss, and one other NPR or Gimlet show or something like that. You know, the big box shows,
the big boys. Right.
Here's what we need to do. We have failed in sharing this with you. So I'll blame this on us. If you are listening on Overcast right now, you have the ability through the app that you're looking at right on your phone right now to just hit a little star from the homepage, the show notes. There's a little star that you can just depress. When you hit that, it will fill in the little star. That is one show, one episode of ours that you are now approving, that you're recommending. Can you just go back and maybe just do the last 10 or 15 shows? You don't even have to listen to that entire show. You've already listened to it anyway. Go to your feed, just hit the little gold button, and that will recommend us. So we know that 80 some odd % of you now, thank goodness it's no longer 90 something, but 80 some % of you are listening through Overcast. Just recommend the show. We're going to remind you this every day this week. Please just take a moment and do that because we want to get back up to number 2. I hate saying that we want to go back to number 2. We want to go to number 1. We will be happy right now with number 2. So could you help us out with that? Thanks. Okay. Did I say my piece?
Proud to be affiliated. Yes, you're good. It's all good. Proud to be affiliated with the C-Suite Radio Network. Anything else, Doug?
No, let's get to our interview with Mo. Today, the ultimate reboot. How cool to think that we could actually reboot to happy. Technology, when we're talking about self-driving cars and balloons in space to improve web connectivity, these are the topics of the day. Internet and remote places and cars driving themselves. And Mo Gawdat knows better than anyone. Mo is the Chief Business Officer of Google X. These are his projects and his responsibility. And for close to a decade, Mo has worked on projects like these. But this is not the most significant thing he's worked on. Mo is also a writer. No surprise in my research of Mo's book, Solve for Happiness. Or Solve for Happy is, yes, a book about happiness, but really it's a formula for engineering your path to it. So Solve for Happy, that's Mo's book. Welcome, Mo, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's so exciting to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I've been watching. I've been doing my research. I've been seeing YouTube videos of you, your own home movies. I've seen a whole bunch of stuff. But what's really interesting, Mo, is that in all of the stuff that I'm seeing about you and the videos and the YouTubes and stuff, can you use really logic and problem solving to determine a formula for happy?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it this way. You are the most sophisticated computer that has ever been invented. In a very interesting way, you're a very programmable computer. And, somehow you're actually born happy. So, it's like your Android phones. You get them out of the box and they work perfectly well and the battery lasts a full day. And then through adding more and more apps in your life, to fit into the real world, you end up, becoming more successful in the modern world, but you become less and less happy. And so what I do in Solve for Happy truly is almost a programmer's approach to debugging your brain and finding out what happened as you engaged in the modern world in a very systemic way that made you become successful and unhappy. And so by removing those, by uninstalling those apps, you can systematically be happy.
So, but life isn't a 1 or a 0. So I look at it and I say, well, life is not binary code. It doesn't seem like there's much of a formula. It's more of a feeling. So how do you measure a feeling and either turn a switch on or off for a feeling?
So that's actually quite interesting, because most research will tell you that the events of your life have very, very little to do with your state of happiness. So the truth is, happiness is a choice. It's not the events of your life that make you happy or unhappy. It's the way you think about them that makes you happy or unhappy. Let me give you a very quick example. There was a point in my life where I had this wonderful car, successful businessman, convertible, twin turbo. My wife took it out and had a crash head on with a truck. Right? Mm-hmm. She went out of the car completely without a scratch. How did I feel? I felt happy. Now, is it because the car crashed and my wife was safe that I was happy? But let's think of another scenario. She could have taken it out, parked it on the side, and the truck crashed it. The event would be the same. My wife would be safe, my car would be crashed, right? But I would feel very unhappy. Now, it's not the event. It's the way you think about it most of the time that makes you unhappy. And we've learned in the modern world to think about the world in a way that is so critical sometimes, so unrealistic, so unreal if you think about it, that the majority of our unhappiness is not a result of the real world. Our real world is okay. It's a result of the way we think about it.
So it's interesting, you put my ex-wife in that car that got crashed, and all of a sudden there's a lot of elation that goes on. No. She might even be a listener for the show, so we might not want to talk about it. We might not want to talk about it.
You want to talk about anything, you can talk about it. I'm not going to comment. Let's just make that very clear.
Oh, no. So, see, Mo, I need somebody on my side. Every once in a while, it's a guy's thing, It's just two guys having a conversation here.
Against an ex-wife, man? Seriously, dog. I mean, come on. Don't put me there, man.
All right, so talk about this for a second, because it's really interesting that in a lot of the works that I'm seeing about you and in your book, you have this happiness equation. And so can you share with us, is there actually an equation for happiness?
There is an equation at the core of every piece of engineering work, and truly this is what I struggled with at the beginning of my research. So I was a very successful businessman, very unhappy. So it wasn't the story of what life gave me. And so to solve my problem, I started to try and define what happiness is. And you'll be surprised, with all of the literature that is out there, I could not find any common definition of what happiness is until I started to do what an engineer would do. I started to collect as many arbitrary data points as I could get on the moments in my life where I felt happy, and I started to find a trend line between them. And you'll be surprised. What the trend line that I found was very simple. It was I felt happy every time life seemed to be going my way, right? I felt happy when the events of my life were meeting my expectations of how life should behave.
Yeah.
And so you can easily put that into an equation. So happiness is equal to or greater than the difference between the way you think of the events of your life and your expectations of how life should behave.
I mean, that's the perfect definition for me, and that really brings me to my next point, which is just talking about mindset. Don't we have these tapes that control us, that are going through our head, that the things that have come up in our past, whether we've had parents that were alcoholics, or if we had parents that were treated us miserably, or whether we had parents that treated us very well, and that's just kind of why we're so manic all the time. Is there something that we have that's in our head that's going off over and over again? And if so, how do we actually fix these or control it? Is it about control, or is it about something else?
Honestly, it's about that thing in your head. So your question was, is there something in our head that makes us do certain things in certain ways? Absolutely. You have a 3 pound of meat in your head that's called your brain, that we started in the modern world to associate with so much. We think of that brain as ourself, right? But the truth is, it's just another survival function. It's a piece of meat that, like your lungs, which has a task of putting oxygen in your blood, this thing is a machine that constantly produces thoughts, so that you can actually use those thoughts to be to survive in life. Mm-hmm. The problem is this: we allow that little piece of meat to be the boss, and what happens is you have a rude interaction with a friend. A friend tells you something that upsets you. the event itself, most of the time, is not worthy of your unhappiness. But what you do is you circle it back and over and over and over in your head in a way that makes you suffer and has no impact on the real world whatsoever. Notice that. And in a very interesting way, when you think about it this way, you would start to realize that suffering is a choice. It's a very foolish choice. Let me ask you this. If one of our listeners, today had a friend that told them something rude, and then they got interested in this podcast, do they tell their brain, "Hey, brain, by the way, I don't want you to think about the rude friend for 2 minutes. I want you to focus on this conversation"? Would the brain say, "No, I'm not interested. I actually want to focus on the friend"? No, the brain listens, right? So we have the ability within us to tell our brains what to do. It's just a question of, do we exercise that ability? Do we act like the boss and tell our brains to think the right way?
I love one of the stories that you share in some of the information that's out there on the internet right now, and it's got to be true because I found it on Google, by the way, Mo. So just so you know, one of the quotes is something like, "Change the world, start with your heart," because there is such a combination of communication that goes on between your brain and your heart. And one of the things that your son said as an inspiration to you is, "Change the world, start with your heart." Can you share the story about your son and the situation and going from brain to heart?
One of the backgrounds to Solve for Happy is I only started writing, even though I had my notes since 2011 when my model was clear. I only started writing, unfortunately, when I lost my son. My son was, in all ways, my favorite human being on earth. He was my son. He was my friend. He was so wise. He was my advisor, my confidant. He was an amazing human being. And we lost him to a preventable human error in a very simple operation, in a very simple surgery. And so the interesting thing is we were okay. I wouldn't say we were happy. You understand, there is pain that comes with losing a child that I cannot even describe. I've been struggling to find the words to describe it to myself, and the pain lasts. But there is a difference between the pain and the suffering, and we were okay. We were not suffering. We were not angry. We were not, blaming ourselves. We didn't close our doors down and decay, from grief. We accepted and wanted to make a good thing out of it. Mm-hmm. Now. Surprisingly, even though Ali, my son, died, totally unexpectedly, he sort of knew, if you want, before 2 days before he left, he sat us all down, myself, his mother and his sister, and he spoke to us at length, and he asked each of us, he told us how much he loved us, how much he appreciated our presence in his life, what he learned from us. Unusual for the situation, but it completely warmed our hearts. And then he asked each of us to do one thing or two things differently. And of me, he actually caught me in a very interesting way, exactly what I needed to be shaken, if you want, because I spent my life trying to do things that TED Talk way, achieve, deliver, move forward, try to change the world. And he said, "You're doing fine, Papa. I want you to continue to do what you're doing, but I want you to count on your heart a little more. I want you to try and change the world through something that is in your heart, not in your brain." And so when he left, I found myself not only writing Solve for Happy, but also setting myself a personal moonshot, a personal mission, if you want, which is my attempt to deliver this message and hopefully make 10 million people happy.
So Mo, and that's a very touching story, and I've heard it several times told in a bunch of different ways through different questions that some of your interviews have asked, and each time that you tell it, it brings goosebumps to the surface, because it's just amazing that he, I always feel like, is there this additional energy that's out there in the world that did he know, and he just didn't really know how and what was going to happen?
So one of the topics I discuss deeply in Solve for Happy is something I call the illusion of knowledge, that sometimes we think we know, but there is so much out there that we don't really know. Our universe is so complex. And, with all the knowledge that we have in our, at our disposal today, that makes us able to, create technologies like the ones we're using right now, we know very little, and there is so much more to be known. Ali was a very unusual, he was a very special human being. He was so connected to his heart. He was so honest and loving and happy all the time. He was not the usual person. And I think if we allow ourselves, even, listen to me, the businessman, the chief business officer talking here, if we allow ourselves to connect to our hearts a little more, we may find so much that we're not aware of today.
Oh, I completely agree. And it sounds like you lost a best friend, and when you lost your son, and he would be so proud of the book that you've written. Do you think about him often as you're reading through some of the pages or doing some of the interviews and talking about him?
I think about him all the time. There is no lying about the idea. So don't be fooled. Every time I will remember Ali, it will hurt my heart, and I will remember Ali once or twice a day, and that's okay. That's analogous to the concept of pain in our life. Pain is not a bad thing. Okay, pain is good. Pain makes us survive. Pain makes us do the right things with our life. It's suffering that is the wrong side, right? So when you feel the pain, if it encourages you to take the right action, what I'm trying to do now, hopefully when it succeeds, it's going to be amazing. Can you imagine 10 million people happy, right? The interesting thing is it's not going to bring Ali back. And the pain of missing Ali, the pain of, longing for one more hug from Ali is always going to be there. But can I turn that pain into something good? And I really think, most of your audience are entrepreneurs, people that are out there, business people that are trying to change the world. And I think truly this would be my biggest message to them. Can you turn the challenges of your life into something good rather than sit down and complain about them? I call that concept committed acceptance. Can you accept when life goes in a direction that's not like what you wanted it to, where you wanted it to go, and take charge and do the best with the new status that you find yourself into?
I always think that is pretty much at the core of every entrepreneur's soul, is the ability to turn shit into something really good.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Absolutely. And surprisingly, not only entrepreneurs, I think this is truly the spirit we want to have in our world today, because you know what? Our world is full of shit. Yeah. I have my own example of my own painful story. I can guarantee you there is not a single person that you meet in the streets that does not have their own sorrow.
I agree with that, Mo. Some of us in the form of ex-wives, and some of us in the form of some other way.
Okay, so hold on.
All right, I'm ready, Mo. You become the interviewer. I'll listen.
All right, Doug's ex-wife. Please contact me if you're listening to this. We need to get to the bottom of this. So.
All right, Mo. This is it. She's going to get a direct line to you.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. We need to find out. I mean, seriously, maybe she has another story, Doug. So.
I know she's got another story. You know what? The only person I'm allowed to tell that to, though, is her attorney.
Oh man, that's tough.
I'm just kidding. She actually is. She's quite a nice person. We found that we actually are better people apart with each other than we were together, and that always makes for good. And I feel the way that you do. I feel as though you take whatever bad situation that you have in your life, and you make yourself smile, you make yourself happy, and you continue moving on. You can't wallow in the suffering. That does not make any sense.
I know that about you, and truly that's the best way to go through life.
So Mo, you have this huge goal of making 10 million happy people out there. So what will help you make a difference in this world?
So two things. Of course, this is my first attempt at happiness that is documented in a very systemic, scientific, logical, sometimes mathematical book. But a book is a book. For us to reach 10 million people, I think there are so many other avenues that we need to go down. And I think two things would help me a lot. One is, can I learn? And I've been getting hundreds of emails from people who are telling me how they've applied the concepts of Solve for Happy to their own challenges and found happiness. And to me, that is incredibly eye-opening. And the second is, can we please not make this my mission alone? Can we please ask everyone? I mean, everyone. So many people out there in the world would like to see 10 million people happy. Can you please share the message? Can you please tell people what you've learned? Can you give them a copy of your copy of the book? Can you share a video? I think if we all work on it together, the message works, especially for people like you and me who are engaged in the modern world. It is an alternative way of looking at happiness. But Please share it. Please push it forward. And I think that's the way we can get to 10 million. Me alone, I doubt that very much.
It makes it challenging when we do things all by ourselves, but if we have a team, we can absolutely do it. Mo, so Sergey and Larry and Nice Guy Community, if you don't know who they are the founders of Google. It looks like, and again, in the conversations that I've had with those and others, and looking at the research, they're behind you on this project, and you taking time to make the people of Earth happy. I think it would be a great idea for you to at least share with them the Nice Guys on Business, and tell them that they actually should come on the show with you and make this a group project. What do you think?
I think they're the nicest guys I've ever met in business. And I don't say that because they're the bosses. These are a couple of people who are truly driven by a value system of trying to make the world a better place. And you got it. I'll talk to them next time we meet, and you'll never know. Maybe they'll crash your show.
Oh, if they would crash. Now listen, there's nothing better than having Mo and Sal for Happy on the show. But second to that, I would say if we can get Sergey or Larry, either one of those guys would be fine. I'm okay with that.
Are you committing me on the air here? All I can do is I can tell you I'll talk to them for sure. I think it's they're truly the nicest guys I've ever met on business. And one of the reasons why I stay at Google is because how we almost blur the lines between doing business and doing good in the world. It truly is incredible when you go to work every day and feel that what you're doing is making the world a better place.
I love that, because I got to think that at a certain point, it's not about the dollars anymore, and it's about the impact that you can have on society, and not just society in a first world way, but society all the way through. It's got to be a systemic change to the entire system, first world, third world, everywhere else that we are in this life. We need to make it all happen together, and happiness is something that we can all achieve. I know it.
Absolutely. I'll go even a step further, and I'll say money pours in when you've made a difference. So Larry often talks about what he calls the toothbrush test. If you've solved a big problem for humankind where people started to like you and use you twice a day, you're bound to make money. And, surprisingly, before capitalism took us over that strongly, our form of capitalism was, if I have a good service, I'm going to survive. If I make shoes that are really good, people are going to come to me and they're going to want my shoes. And as a result, they're going to give me a goat or a chicken in return, right? And we forgot that now. We started with counting the goats and chickens before we even made the shoe. Right? And surprisingly, if you ask me, I'm an Egyptian. I'm educated in public schools and public universities in Egypt. If there has been one thing in my life that I think I've done right, it's been that I wasn't working for my own wealth. I was working to try and make the world slightly better. And the universe pays you back much more handsomely than I deserve. So, this is what happened. And every entrepreneur that's listening to you today, truly try to solve a real problem. It's not about creating the next photo sharing app, right? If you try to solve a big problem, and our world is full of problems, trust me, the fortune will, not only the money, the fortune will follow.
So I got to ask this. So, and again, I don't want you to take any offense to this, but I have to ask the question, and I'm kind of gilding it with a little bit of red velvet here. Why do you care? Because some people might say, yeah, it's easy for you, Mo. You're a big position at Google. You live a good life. You have money in your life. You could go your own way and not even look back. Why do you choose this as your mission?
Of course, for Ali. But let's debug one very important topic first. Money is a lie. What can I tell you? I mean, I wear $19 T-shirts because they have. Yeah,
I love your cake T-shirt. You wear your cake.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, so I love the Cake is a Lie T-shirt. I love my Pink Floyd T-shirts, and you know what? I cannot get those for $25. The maximum I can find is $19. And you know what? How many of those can you buy a year?
Right.
And every car is a car. There was a time when Rolls Royces were better. I'm not against any specific company here. But today, Hyundais and, Kias and every other car in the world have come to a quality where it's an amazing piece of technology. So the rest of it, truly, what we're chasing, and I say that telling most people that if we drop our egos, what's left behind does not need a lot of money, to be honest. Okay. Now, why do I care? you have no idea how rewarding it is when you get someone to send you back an email and say, hey, by the way, I realized my brain was not me, and that allowed me not to obey the weird shit that my brain has been telling me so far anymore, and I'm a happier person. Is there ever a better reward than that? Of course. There is one where Ali is looking down at me and saying, hey, you did well.
Yes, that's.
I did not go for no reason. I left this life and something good happened.
It's so great when you're able to show gratitude to someone. It's almost like it's selfish when you show gratitude, because you're making somebody feel good, which in turn makes you feel good in reverse. It's almost counterproductive, not counterproductive, but you get the opposite effect of what really should be happening.
Absolutely. I write about that extensively. I say that giving is the selfish side of us. If you give, you get back so much more than what you give. And it's not only about giving money. It's about giving a smile, giving a compliment, noticing somebody, if you're in a shop, or just sparing the life of a fly. I'm not trying to be too idealistic here, but if you have the ability to give, oh my God, that's the best feeling ever.
So, Mo, this is going to sound like this question is coming out of left field, but I do ask this to pretty much every guest that comes on the show. It's a standard nice guy question. I've asked it about 200 times now. So do you have your phone anywhere near you, Mo?
I have my phone in my hand.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Do you have an iPhone, or do you have something inferior?
I have an iPhone that has all my music. My superior Android phone is a little bit further away.
So I'm curious, when they hire you at Google, do they hire it based upon the technology you have? Like, are you allowed to have an iPhone, or do you get fired if they find one in an employee locker or something like that?
Yeah, we hide them inside our hearts. No, actually, no. It's actually quite funny. It was one of the things that made me fall in love with the company in the first place. How can you make your product a better product unless you see every product out there? And why would you force anyone to use your product and then tell you that it's good because they work for you? You might be better off if people tell you your product needs a little bit of improvement because they're using another product. I love both of them, to be quite honest. I think my iPhone does really well on music, to be very honest. But I'm probably a much more comfortable user of Android. I think Android gives me the power of programmability of the phone that is fit for an engineer, maybe.
All right, whatever.
Did that sound as a pitch? No, actually, it's actually true. It's actually true. Which one do you use?
Oh, I have an iPhone, of course. I mean, come on, my whole house is Apple related here. I barely let your publicist say that hey, Mo really wants to come on the show. I said I'm an iPhone user. They said I don't know. I said, well, he doesn't have to come on the show if he doesn't want to.
It's good that I'm carrying an iPhone then. I mean, the one I love most actually is the tablet. I don't know if you've used the iPad Pro with the pencil.
No, I haven't. I just got the MacBook, the MacBook Pro with those stupid ports on the side. I have no idea why Apple did that with the ports. No idea.
Good. Let's keep it at that. Let's close the podcast with you complaining about Apple. Not a very bad history.
Hey, Mo, I just have a couple more questions for you, and sure. then we'll wrap up the interview here. As an entrepreneur, I want you to kind of take off your Be Happy hat for a second, and I want you to put your entrepreneur's hat on just for a moment. Be relatable, Mo, because I know there's got to be something out there, although I can't figure out what in the life you would be bad at, but what do you suck at? There's got to be something.
Oh, I suck at so many things. You have no idea. I'm totally unorganized. I have no clue how to manage the details. I'm not a good engineer anymore, even though I understand the concepts, but, don't ask me to code ever again. I suck at a million things. I'm too optimistic. I
don't think there's such a thing as being too optimistic. I think it's great to be optimistic.
No, not at all. It makes you unrealistic sometimes about some of the possibilities. And I need a reality check within my partners all the time. And I think entrepreneurship truly is entirely around recognizing what you're good at and what you're not so good at, if you want to be politically correct, and finding people who will put you in check.
So on the other side of it, though, be confident. What do you do as an entrepreneur that's as good as it gets, Mo?
I try to make the world a better place, and then the universe conspires to help me.
Isn't that wonderful when you have the power of the universe behind you?
Everyone does. I mean, seriously, just I'm literally talking to every one of your listeners. Shift your mind a little from the dollars first to making a difference first. If you're going to make a difference, trust me, the dollars will follow.
That's so true. So Mo's book is called Solve for Happy, Engineer Your Path to Joy. And he has been our valued guest today. Man, Mo, I so much appreciate you coming on the show today. I'm looking forward to the follow-up here. And I'm looking forward to connecting you with a whole bunch of other shows, because I have a ton of shows that I want you to get on. And because I know that your message will just land squarely on some of the listeners' ears that are out there now.
I'm your man. 10 million is a lot of people, so absolutely. I'll work day and night, go anywhere in the globe. I'm your man.
And let me tell you, Nice Guy community, Mo was one of maybe 5 in the several hundred interviews or a couple hundred interviews that I've done that actually has not just been on time, but he was early for his call. And for an Egyptian, that's not bad, Mo. That's not bad.
Now they're going to revoke my citizenship. I'm serious. Why are you doing this to me?
They'll do it tomorrow, Mo. It'll be fine.
Exactly.
Mo,
they will not do it on time. Yeah. So yeah, I'm very grateful to be here, Doc. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Mo for being on the show today. All of his information will be in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. And may the force be with them. They need all the help they can get.